So in part 4, we are going to take your questions, and Chris or Megan will chime in wherever they'd like. So question 1, my husband has been diagnosed with lupus and ADHD in the past year. I find that I end up feeling like I am the only capable one to be consistent in decision making and physically capable of managing the house. What do I do with this feeling of overwhelm and all is on me?
I would love to answer this if you guys don't mind, because my husband was diagnosed with ADHD at age 6. So I have learned a lot and experienced, and I feel your pain. For any of you that have children or are married, or maybe yourself have ADHD, it's an incredible thing, actually, an incredible thing. I used to look at it as a very negative thing, and I think our culture needs to understand that ADHD people are the leaders, they're the authors, they're the presidents, they do some amazing things for this world. When I viewed it as more of a positive thing versus a curse, my heart changed. But one of the best pieces of advice I got is to educate yourself. ADHD, the way that their brain works and how they function, it's pretty standard amongst ADHD people. And I think what happens is when we're not educated, we take it personally. We assume that it's like, oh, you forgot because you don't care about me. No, ADHD people, this is the best way I heard the description, is they're watching 10 different televisions all at the same time, and they can actually pick up on different things on each one of those televisions. And I was like, wow, can you imagine living life like that? So my husband, I have so much more compassion because I've educated myself and I've researched ADHD, why he does what he does, and it has nothing to do with me. It's not a personal attack. He doesn't forget on purpose. He's not impulsive to make me mad. And so one of my recommendations would be check out Dr. Ned Hallowell. He is the leading voice. I've researched ADHD. He's a New York Times bestseller. He has a podcast called Distraction. He's got books. It's phenomenal information. And he's married to Sue, his wife, a marriage and family therapist. So it's a really neat dynamic. We were able to interview them, and I felt so privileged.
Great.
And the whole time on the video, I'm like this, and I'm like taking notes because I'm just like, you're talking my love language. Like, this is me. And he's like, I know. So educate yourself. The other thing is this: ADHD people are very capable. Very, very capable of doing a lot. And I used to say, oh, my husband has ADHD, he can't do it. But I've actually learned that you just have to find the right tools and methods and ways. Exercise is phenomenal for ADHD people to help them focus. Sometimes medication is necessary. I think that's a personal decision that a couple has to make for themselves. My husband's been able to be off medication most of our marriage, but there's been times when I'm like, I think we need to go to the doctor and talk about possibly putting you on meds right now because you're having a hard time focusing. And I don't think there should be any shame on that.
Absolutely.
I think so. Exercise, I think education, and the other thing would be is ADHD people thrive in structure. We all do, but they really need structure. And so we used to just kind of let things just like, okay, you're gonna do this and that. And I learned that calendars, we share a calendar. And it's on our phone with reminders, and we go through our calendar, and lots of honey-do lists and visual reminders has really helped my husband stay more organized. And then regarding the chores, I printed something out because I just created this 2 months ago because I have the same issue. It's a roles and responsibility worksheet, which I'm going to give you the copy so you can give it to anyone who asks for it. But I'm a very person who likes things fair in my marriage. I want things fair. And so I felt the same thing, that, man, like, because you're impulsive and because you're forgetful, I'm doing all the work, And so it's really neat because what I figured out is you print out the second page, which, there's columns that says like me, my spouse, shared, things like that. And you actually write down like who does what, and you identify the truth. Because you're going to have your perspective and your spouse is going to have their perspective, and then you kind of can relate and go, oh, okay, do you really do that? Okay, I think I do that more, but you get to hear each other's perspectives, which is eye-opening. Then you can actually say, who's better at these jobs? This is their strength, or hey, we're both struggling with this. Maybe we need to outsource help and get a house cleaner, or get a gardener, whatever that looks like. but just talking about it and bringing it out to the table and pretending like it's not an issue, because what I'm worried is that this person who wrote in is going to feel very resentful towards their spouse, right? And that it's like, I'm doing everything and you're doing nothing. But we need to identify that ADHD is a real thing, and there are lots of amazing opportunities for someone that's very already capable. So know that your husband is capable. I don't know much about lupus. I'm sorry, so I don't know the factor into that, but I can speak into the ADHD world, that I've seen many couples struggle with this, like myself, but there are methods and ways, and you just kind of have to find what works best for you in your marriage.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
That's great.
Do you have anything you want to add, or should we move on to question
I
2?
could jump in and repeat, but she did it.
Okay,
It was great.
all right, fantastic. Okay, what do you do when your husband gets jealous of all the time and energy you put into your special needs child?
Yeah.
Never heard that before, ever. How do you take care of both and keep everybody happy?
So first off, if he's making these needs known, and if he's letting you know, hey, I'm feeling jealous, or I'm feeling disconnected or not appreciated, anything where he's expressing a feeling word and telling you explicitly, I think we need to say we're off to a great start, right? That he has recognized there is value to this, that you mean something to him, that he wants more of who you are because he loves you. And I understand that's going to feel like just another burden. It's another requirement, it's another ask, and the tendency is going to be to want to push it away or feel overwhelmed or shameful and a lot of negative emotion. But if we can first stop and choose to recognize, okay, he's asking for more of me because he actually wants to be with me, which is a great place to start.
I love that.
It's hard. It's hard to just give like a step 1, 2, and 3 when it comes to relationships. But if I was
Wouldn't that be
going
easy,
to,
though,
right?
if they could?
I could write that book and retire.
Yeah.
But number 1, I would say recognizing your own reaction to that and being able to take that and set it over here for a second with whatever you're feeling when he says, I need more of you, I feel like, I don't get any enough of your time. Set your part to the side because that needs to be dealt with, but it'll come after his question. And acknowledge and validate his emotion. Recognize, maybe even say, it means so much to me that you still want to be with me. I love knowing that you want to be with me. All right, so validate, acknowledge what he's saying. Reflect and communicate your mutual desire, right? You're realizing like, I miss you too. And I really want that too. And as we're talking, we're already doing the connection. We're already doing the unifying. Our neurons and all the interpersonal neurobiology that is beautiful is already firing like crazy now because we're actually sitting there. We're looking eye to eye. We're communicating feelings and needs. And even if we don't have a solution, we're already going down the road of connection. And then I would say collaborate on some options, right? Making a list and saying like, where could we put this in? What could we do? What would it be that I could do that would actually make you feel seen and cared for and loved? And it might be something as very simple that he's able to communicate. And it's like, oh, yeah, I can do that, right? So it's recognizing first, put your stuff to the side and be able to respond to the request. And then if after that you're realizing you still feel a lot of shame and blame, or you're feeling like that wasn't very fair the way he said it, well, now you get to have the turn to be explicit and say, I'm glad we talked about that. I'm really glad we're moving forward, but I gotta let you know, it really hurt the way you brought it up, the timing of when you brought it up, or anything like that, right? This is never a place of, he expressed a need, so now you need to put your needs to the side. It's how do we mutually meet each other's needs? And he was vulnerable enough to start, and that's where we start.